Hi everyone. Uh, Welcome to this tutorial on Terraform, deployment of infrastructure with Terraform. In this session, we'll go through the basic of Terraform and learn how to set up an AWS IAM user, write Terraform code, deploy AWS resources like VPC, Subnet, and EC2 instance, and finally, clean it all up using Terraform Destroy. My name is Faz, and let's get started. As we know, Terraform automation has become a crucial part of modern IT operations. Manual provisioning of servers, networks, and cloud services is very time consuming, also error prone, and difficult to scale at times. This is where Terraform, as an infrastructure as a code tools, steps in to simplify and automate the entire process end to end. Right. With that, let's jump over to the here PPT that we have and that we are going to cover in this video. So as you can see, infrastructure deployment with Terraform. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, a quick go through the agenda that we have that we are going to cover in this video. Quick introduction to the Terraform, setting up AWS IAM user, writing Terraform code for the resources that we are we are going to deploy in this video, deploying AWS resources, and finally destroying infrastructure with Terraform code. With that, we'll move on to the next slide. All right, so quick introduction uh, for Terraform. So as we know, Terraform is an open source infrastructure as a code tool that allows you to define and provision infrastructure in declarative way using configuration file. Uh, there are some benefits of it gives you a platform to basically automate the infrastructure provisioning rather doing the manual. It provides you a platform to use that repeatability uh, of the code that you have written, and it gives you the consistency across environments. Uh, it works with multiple cloud providers like AWS, Azure, GCP, many other. If you go to the official website of Terraform, HashiCorp, you would see more than 3,000 as a provider right now with Terraform. And it basically enables version control provisioning also for infrastructure through code. So there are a lot of benefits using Terraform. It simplifies and it sets a very uh, easy and very uh, a very useful platform for the developers. We'll see that in a few seconds. With that, we'll move on to the next slide. All right. So what we have in this video to cover is first, uh, we'll create an IAM user in AWS environment, which will basically authenticate the Terraform to speak with AWS environment and deploy the resources in AWS environment. Second step, we'll go ahead and write the code which will basically contain AWS VPC, Subnet, and EC2 instances. These are three services that we have, resources we'll go ahead and create in AWS. And finally, a step three, once we are done creating code, we'll go ahead and use the Terraform apply to initiate the provisioning of those services in AWS. And finally, the fourth step would be to go and destroy once we are done deploying our validation, then we'll finally go ahead and destroy it. As we know that in public cloud, if you leave any resources running, then there is a charge for each services, which we do not want. With that, we'll move on to the next. Like what we have is great. So the first step we have creating IAM user in the AWS environment. For that, we'll have to go to AWS basically console to go and create the IAM resource. Okay. Here I'm already logged into my AWS account. If you are not, then you can simply log into AWS account, and either you have top left the search box. You can just type anything, and this way you can go ahead and basically search or any resources that you know, or if in case you have already used previously, then simply you can click here on the top left, and it gives you basically the drop down of all the services and that recently you have searched or visited. So since we are we are aiming to create IAM user, I'll just go and click on IAM. The intention creating IAM user is to get the access key and secret key, which we'll use in code basically to use that and Terraform to go and authenticate with AWS environment and then finally deploy any resources. So now left side, if you go to IAM, left on AWS console, here left side you would see under access management users. Simply click on users, and top left we have an option of create user. Click on it, and then I'll just give a name Terraform since I'm going to use it for Terraform. Terraform test. I'll simply copy it, and this is an optional, so I'll just leave it. I'll click on next here. And now we see three options: add user to group, copy permissions, and attach policy directly. So what we'll do is I'll just go and click on attach policy directly since I do not have anything. And now finally I'll look for the level of access and permission I want this user to have. So I'll select administrator since this will have read and write both access. So finally I'll go and click on next here. Once I'm done, now I have an option. I can just simply click on create user. I'll just click on it. And now you see it has already initiated the creation of user. Now here I can see the Terraform test user has already been created. Now, since we are looking for access key and secret key, what we'll do, we'll go and generate the access and secret key for this user. So we can use that for Terraform, provisioning. Let's click on test, uh, Terraform test user. Now, finally, we'll go to here. You would see uh, security credential. Just click on it. This tab gives you the option for you to go and generate the access key. Now, if we see here access key, we'll simply click on uh, create access key. Now, once you click on that, it has several options for you based on your need. You can go ahead and pick it up. I can go with command CLI, command line interface CLI, or simply click on third-party services, which again, so I'll just go for third-party services, and I'll just confirm, acknowledge it, and click on next for me to get the access key. Now I'll click on create access key. Uh, Great. Now you see here access key created. That means, okay, this is the access key that I have. So what I'll do, I'll just copy it to Notepad. It's very important. Once you create it, just copy it or download the file so you can keep it Notepad. I'll just open a Notepad here. Great. And what I'll do, I'll just copy it. Now with that, I'll simply copy the secret access key as well. And these are very important. Just you need to make sure keep them very safe. No one should have access to it. Otherwise, this would create a problem for you, right? So I have got it. Since I'm just keeping it here because I'm using it for test. And after this video, I'll simply go ahead and remove that access key and secret key so there won't be any impact. There won't be any problem for me. All right. So with that, now I have got the access key and secret key. I'm user setup for my Terraform. Now I'll simply go to the PPT just to validate, like, okay, step one has already been completed. Now create a Terraform code to deploy AWS VPC, Subnet, and EC2 instance. So here, what I'm doing is I'm using VS Code to write the code. And I'll just open that VS Code here. Great. So I'll just simply create one directory, AWS VPC, and I'll use it. Now there's nothing inside. So simply what I'll do, sorry, uh, clear that up for you. Now I'm gonna create a file that I would be using the right Terraform code in. So I'll just give a name. I'll give a name AWS VPC EC2 TF, the extension. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just giving a name since I'm gonna create AWS, use AWS VPC subnet and EC2 instance. So I'll just keep the name simple. Okay, it's created now. Now I should have here AWS VPC. Now I have the file created for me here. Great. Now I have the file now. Now I need to go ahead and write the code to for all the needed resource. So what I'll do next is I'll jump over to the Terraform official website, which is HashiCorp. Now I have that open here. Now, if you go to the Terraform official website, you would see here browse providers. So once you click on it, it takes you to the providers dashboard where you can see all the providers as of now with Terraform. So as I said, like it is it's more than 3,000 providers we have. Some official, like directly with Terraform, some other partners, some other communities. So we are interested to go in for AWS. So we'll simply click on AWS here. Now we are to AWS and we'll go to documentation on the top right side, click on documentation, which will take us basically to all the syntax that we have available from HashiCorp for AWS. All right. So first thing is like uh, AWS, GCP, and these are all works as a provider for Terraform, HashiCorp. So what we'll do is like we'll just use the syntax which will have which provider this code is going to be used for. So let's look for the information. So here we can see that like it's Terraform required provider and AWS here. And second thing, like now we are looking for basically, give me 1 second here. What we'll do is we need to use the access key, which should go ahead and basically do the authentication for us. So let's look for the okay, here we can see the provider AWS, and even it has an option for us to specify here that the region that we're going to pick to deploy the resources will specify here, and we'll use the access key and secret key here. So we'll simply copy it, and we'll go to the VS Code editor. We'll simply copy and paste, and now uh, we are going to deploy. The region we'll select is Mumbai. So let's go and get the region name basically for Mumbai. So what I'll do here is like I'll go to VPC and I'll from the top right side we'll see all the we should see a drop down for all the option for us to pick the region. So we'll okay. So this is a Mumbai region that the name that we can see app hyphen south hyphen one. So app south one. I'll just simply click it's already like now selected. So here I'm good with that. I'll just jump back to here and I'll make quick changes as like, so it's app hyphen south one. We are done. Now it's asking basically for access key and secret key. Before I mention the access key and secret key, it's pretty important to mention here there are a number of ways you can go ahead and manage your access key and secret key. Uh, this is highly not recommended to define and specify your access and secret key directly in the basically code. Rather, you can use it like some other ways, creating the variable, and some other ways you have an option. We'll talk about those options in upcoming videos, which basically prevent your access key directly being there visible, and that basically uh, uh, a safe way to go and use your access and secret key. But here the aim is basically to know how we are going to write the code and use the Terraform basically to go and start the provisioning. So we'll keep it here since there is no impact, there is no issues using directly here, right? But when you go and use for the customer, when you go and use for your production or development, make sure you use all those other way, that the way basically it gives you a way to go and keep those access and secret key safe and secure. All right. Great. Now, with that, we'll go to the notepad. We'll simply copy and paste this access key. We'll define the access key here. Okay. Now, we'll copy the secret key here. Okay. And great. So we are done with the access and secret key. We have specified the region also. Now, the next thing is, as per the creating VPC, subnet, and EC2 instance. So we'll have to go ahead and get the syntax for AWS VPC creation, subnet creation, and EC2 instance, like deployment. So let's quickly again go back to your HashiCorp official website. All right, great. Uh, Now we'll simply go ahead and get the syntax for uh, AWS VPC. So let's scroll a little up here. Okay, great. So what we'll do is like, we'll simply go ahead and copy it from here. Now you can see configure AWS provider. So uh, here we have specified, even the provider has already been mentioned, AWS, and now you can see the region also. So we are good with the provider and region. So this part has already been covered. So now what we'll do next is we'll simply copy the VPC creation, which is create VPC. So we'll just copy this one here, create VPC, and we'll come back here. We'll simply copy paste and create a VPC, a resource AWS VPC. We never make any changes to this. Basically, it's AWS VPC, and we have a name that we have. Like an example, we can make the changes based on your need here. Right now, the VPC will be created by the name example, but let's say, for an example, if we want to change my VPC, I'll simply keep it my VPC, and the CIDR that we can see here 10.0.0.0/16. You can change it based on your need. I'm just going to keep it simple, the default that I have copied. Now, so I'm done with here AWS provider, region, access key. Now creating the VPC also. Now the next is subnet creation. So I'll again go back to this here, and now I'll look for uh, the option to get the syntax for subnet creation. So let me quickly here uh, look for the these are the basically left side. You see all these options that we have. You can go and explore for more. I'm just looking for like this wherein we have. Okay, let's do one thing. The other way also, like we can explore it. Let's say AWS hyphen subnet. We can do the search, and now here I just want to show you exact location for this one. Okay, VPC private cloud. So now you can see here you have all these options, and here we can see AWS subnet. So we can simply click on it. This is another easy way. You can go ahead and search and get the syntax for all. So we can see here resource AWS subnet main. Uh, it's again the main that it's by default given name. You can change it, and so we'll simply copy it from here, and we'll go back to the code editor here. We'll simply copy paste, and so AWS subnet will change here. The main will give a name my subnet. Sorry, my subnet. And here you can see AWS VPC ID, the subnet you want basically to be paired with. So here AWS VPC and the main that has to be changed. This is the default one. We'll have to put a name of the VPC. So it's my VPC. And we have here ID. Okay, fine. CIDR. Okay, we are good with it's basically from the same network CIDR range. So we are good with that, and we are going to create one subnet in one of the availability zone of this region. And this tag is basically just giving a name. So we'll change this one as well. We'll use my subnet. Cool. So we have got the subnet as well, and the aim is to deploy EC2 instance in AWS. So we need to get the syntax for EC2 instance now. Let's get back to the official website once again. Now we need to get the syntax. So let's go ahead and search removing. Like uh, again, I'll just try to look for and see. Uh, not search. Basically, see here, elastic dude. We should see somewhere here. Oh, great. EC2 Elastic Compute Cloud. We can expand it here. This way also you can go. And now we'll look for like this syntax. So AWS instance you can see here. We'll simply click on it to get the syntax. And this is basically the AWS using data source, using AWS system management parameters. Okay, great. System example. So what we'll do, we'll simply copy this one. We see here AWS instance, a resource, AWS instance, and this is the name of the instance that's by default given. We can change it. So we'll just copy it, and we'll go back to our code editor, and we'll keep the name here, my EC2. Simple, great. And here I need to change the name also. Okay. Uh, okay. Now it's basically asking the AMI that you want to use for the deployment and the instance type. So we'll go to AWS website. We don't want to go and deploy any EC2 instance which is chargeable. Whenever you create an account on AWS, you get free resources available. So we can simply go ahead and use that free resources available to us, and we can deploy that, right? So let's to get the AMI and let's get to the EC2 console. This is just one-time activity. If you know that, then good. Otherwise, you can simply go ahead and get the details of EC2 instance from here easily and use that. Okay, so now we are on the page of EC2 instance. It's loading, so let's just wait for quick seconds here. All right, by default, we can see Amazon Linux that's been picked, and we can see the free tier here. That's basically the Amazon Linux 2023 kernel that's been selected, and here we have the AMI that will simply copy in, and also you can see the instance type that we have, T3 micro, which is free tier eligible. And even if you click on the drop down, it would show yes, this is the free one. So Crane will simply, we have already copied this. Let's copy once again, and we'll go back to the code editor. AMI, simply just copy and copy paste grain. Now we'll get the T3 micro. So if we go to the here, it's already T3 micro, so we are good here. And now we want this EC2 instance to be added to this subnet that we are going to create, right? So for that, let's add here. What we can do is like we can simply add subnet ID, and then we can simply AWS uh, AWS subnet. We can use that AWS subnet. Yep, and then ID. Fine. So with that, what we have done here is like basically we are saying, okay, okay, great. So what we're saying here is like this EC2 instance will be created, and the subnet ID AWS subnet that we have here, it will basically point to AWS subnet, and then my subnet, the name that we have given, and the ID that would be for this subnet that will be connected. So this is what we have defined, and here we'll change simply name of the EC2 instance. We'll keep you my EC2. Great. Okay. All right. So let's review quickly the code that we have got here. We have got the provider. We have got the region that we are targeting to deploy the resources. We have got the access key and secret key. Now create the VPC that we have already specified here, and AWS subnet also we have specified. And now finally we have written the code for AWS instance deployment, and we have specified which subnet this EC2 instance needs to be connected to. All right. So here till here we look absolutely fine as we need and want. So simply I can go and save that code. Pretty important for you to go and quick save that code just to make sure yes the code is executed, and great. Now let's quickly jump back to the PPT just to verify and validate what we have next. So accordingly we can move. So we have got the AWS VPC subnet and EC2 instance. Finally, step three, which is basically Terraform apply to provision the resources. So let's get back to the code here. We have already saved in. Now before initiating the deployment, let's go to AWS account and validate once whether how many EC2, how many VPC we have, and then initiate the deployment. Okay, let's quickly go to AWS VPC, and you will always need to make sure, yes, whenever you want to validate any resources, you are in a correct region that you are trying to validate, and that you can do from this drop down on the top right side by clicking on this, and then you can get into the region basically. So we'll click on here, VPCs, and we can see the one that we have by default with the CIDR 172.31.0.0/16, and the one we are that we are trying to delete is with 10.0.0.0/16 with the name my VPC. So let's go ahead and get into the provisioning steps. So the first thing important is uh, Terraform has to have plugin for the specific provider downloaded and installed. That's very important. So based on the code that you have, you go and run a code which is Terraform in it. What it does is it goes through the code, read that, and based on the required plugin for the provider, it goes and downloads those. So let's say, for an example, if you do not run init, let's say you run Terraform validate, it should give an error, right? So, but now let's go ahead and run init. This is the first command that whenever you write a code, you have to go ahead and run that Terraform init just to make sure, yes, Terraform does have the required plugins downloaded. So now hit enter and see what happens. Now you can see that if I maximize this, you can see that like initializing backend, initializing provider plugins, which is gonna take a couple of seconds time. So we'll just give few seconds here. Normally it completes in few seconds. It might take like a little longer based on your system performance and network. It's it's slightly taking a little longer than expected. Not sure if it is my computer or my network, but generally it's very fast. It hardly takes like uh, 5-6 seconds, and it completes the whole process. Okay, great. Now we can see Terraform has successfully initialized. All right, now we are all set. The platform is completely ready for us to go ahead and execute the command. But before executing the deployment, we'll go through quick couple of like uh, CLI command line, which basically further gives you confidence as a developer to validate and then finally execute your creation or deployment. So what we'll do, we'll use one command, which is uh, validate, which basically goes through the code and validate if there is any problem. And it basically gives you a kind of hints if there is any problem, you go visit that, fix it, and then again run that. Great. So we can see here success that it shows all good, no problem. Now, finally, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and now run the command Terraform apply. Let's go ahead and run the Terraform apply and see how it it goes through. So whenever we run Terraform apply, what it does is like, it gives you a kind of quick snapshot for you to review what resources, what changes, what destruction it's gonna based on the code uh, going to do, and you verify once and validate and then confirm it. Then it uh, goes through basically implementation. So now we can see here it's asking at the bottom confirmation. Enter either yes to continue or no to cancel that. Uh, and here plan, we can see it shows like now 3 to add. That means 3 resources going to be added. 0 to change, 0 to destroy. So no changes, no destruction. Now, finally, if we scroll a little up, we can see AWS VPC will be created. This is one resource. Now, if we further scroll up, we see AWS Subnet will be created, the second resource. And now, if we scroll further up, we'll see here AWS instance EC2 will be created. That way we get to know, yes, there are 3 instances and resources going to be created once we execute this. So as we are good and sure, we'll simply confirm by typing yes, we'll confirm that, and this should start the execution of the code, going through creating the VPC, creating the subname, and finally uh, starting the deployment of the EC2 instance as we specified in the code. So let's just wait for a couple of seconds time and see. Great. Now you can see how quick it was. Now we can see at the bottom, like, apply complete, resource 3 added. That means 3 has been created and added to AWS environment. 0 change, 0 destroy. Quickly jump over to AWS console to validate the resources that's been created. Now I'll simply on the top right side, you see, you can just refresh the whole page by clicking on that. Great. Now you can see here, I'll just simply uncheck this one, the one checked here right now. You can see this, the CIDR, which is 10.0.0.0/16. This we wanted to create, and this has already been created, right? Quickly, we'll go and jump over to subnets by clicking on the top left next to your VPCs, and we see that. We'll just refresh once quickly. Great. Now we can see this subnet. This has, we wanted to create one subnet, and this has already been created. And the good part is we specified the name by the, like, tag, and this has picked the name that we specified in the code, my subnet. Now if we go to the EC2 instance, we'll quickly verify the EC2 instance, whether it's been created or not. Uh, Left side, if you see here under instances, you can click on instances to go to EC2 dashboard, and it's still loading. Great. Now we can see here one my EC2 instance has already been, like, it's running, and it has already been created. Now under status, like, check, you can see it's yet under process initializing. It's been deployed, but the process of complete, like, for EC2 instance to be fully up and functional, it's underway right now. As you know, it takes a couple of minutes time to completely be up and fully functional from the OS side, right? So in few seconds time, if you go ahead and click on it, great. Now you can see the status check. This has already turned to, 2 out of 2 checks passed. Everything that from the AWS side when needed, those have already been completed for EC2 instance, and it looks absolutely fine, running and healthy. So with that, we can see, like, we got the VPC created, we got the subnet created, and we saw that, like, EC2 instance which has been created and absolutely running running fine. So if we quickly jump back here. So we have completed the step one. I am developing, creating the Terraform code that we saw that we created and we used, and we saw that how quickly and easily we were able to deploy the resources without any manual effort. And we have already used, step three. Now finally, as we know that if we leave any resources running in AWS, then there is a charge. So we do not want that to happen. We don't want to pay. So we'll simply go ahead and perform a step 4, which is basically destroying the resources that we have deployed just now. So for that, what we'll go ahead and use that Terraform uh, code again. So let's jump back to the code editor. Okay, and before going and finally deleting the resources, I just want to show you one quick uh, a beauty of Terraform when you use, automation. Let's say, for an example, if you go to we saw that, my EC2 instance, this EC2 does have name. Now if we go back to the VPC here, I just realized, like, since we did not define any VPC name here, and if we go back your VPC, click left side top, you'd see two, and this VPC, it does not have name here. So if in case, let's say for an example, by any chance you want to make any changes, you do not have to go through the whole process again. That's the beauty of Terraform, and that's the beauty of, like, basically the automation. So let's get back quickly to the code that we have here, and simply we can use the same syntax here, the way that we have used tag one. We'll simply copy it, and what we can do is simply, let's go and here paste. So we'll use the tag syntax to give a name basically and update it to AWS console, my VPC. And let's see how it works. Okay, great. Now, what we'll do, we'll quickly save it. I'll just clear that out for you. Okay. Now, what we'll do, we can go ahead and simply initiate. We'll just validate what it could do for us. Since we have already saved, we'll use Terraform. And what we'll do, we can, before initiating basically the deployment, what we can do, we can use one command, Terraform plan. What it does is like, it prints out everything, the code it has, and before finally starting the deployment, what it, it it has to make the changes. It will basically give you a kind of a good idea. So let's go ahead and run the Terraform plan. Let's just wait for quick second. So it basically reads through the all code that we have. And now you can see here that at the bottom, it shows plan, which is 0 to add, no addition here. 1 to change. Since we made the change, we have made the change to the code, adding tag. We want to basically name the VPC that we have here, and 0 to destroy. And if we go a little up, we can see here, Terraform will perform the following action. AWS VPC will be updated in place and resource AWS VPC, my VPC. That will be updated. So that's a kind of way for us to go and get a kind of idea before finally executing any final command. Now let's go and run the uh, Terraform apply, and we saw that whenever we run Terraform apply, what it does is basically it again gives it before it asks for your confirmation to go ahead and perform the creation or changes. So what I'll do, since we have already verified what changes this code is going to do, so what we'll do, we'll just auto approve. I'll just apply it so that it should not be basically asking for the confirmation. It we are confident, we know that, and it should go ahead and execute the command. So let's run that code here. Let's just wait for a quick second here. And now it did not ask basically our confirmation since we supplied auto approve, and this has completed. Now 0 to add, one changed, and 0 destroyed. Like, so let's quickly jump back to the AWS console to validate and refresh the page here. Great. Now you can see here my VPC. This has got the name basically, the what we wanted, and we have got the change. Easily done without any manual effort. So it's basically a reusable code. That's the beauty again of the code. Whenever you write, you can simply keep using the code. If you want to make any changes, you can make the changes. You can go ahead and simply use it. And also, let's say for an example, if we are doing this for any POC activity, and finally we want to deploy it in the production, we can simply go ahead and use the same code so that what result we got in test should achieve the same result in production also. So it reduces a huge amount of chances of human error. So these are the basically amazing things that you achieve using and automating, like your provisioning changes or anything that you want to you want to achieve in your environment. With that, since we do not want any resources running in AWS, finally we'll go ahead and run the Terraform destroy, so that it should go ahead and destroy the whole resources that we have provisioned. So let's go ahead and run the Terraform destroy. Let's just wait for a couple of seconds time here. And now you can see that here, VPC refreshing, and again, uh, it's asking your confirmation. You want to, like, whether you really want to go and perform this task or not. And here you can validate 0 to add, 0 to change, and 3 to destroy. And if you scroll up, you'd see all those what you have basically in this code going to be destroyed. So you can just validate like AWS VPC will be destroyed, subnet will be destroyed, and finally we should have EC2 instance showing up here. EC2 AWS EC2 instance will be destroyed. So this is pretty handy. Like, whenever you go, you intend to any perform any activity, it gives you a kind of quick snapshot for you to check that, uh, take a screenshot shot as as a proof, and finally execute the the plan that you have. Now we'll just confirm by typing yes, so that it should go, and as we want, start the basically uh, 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 deleting all those resources that we had deployed. Let's just wait for quick seconds. Once the task is complete, we'll head over to AWS console. We'll validate once, and so you can see here it shows like a EC2 instance destroying, EC2 instance still destroying, and this is a way you can keep checking what exactly the task being performed here. All right, this has been completed. Great. Now you can see destroy complete, resource 3 destroyed. With that, we'll go to the AWS console. Now we have two VPCs here. We'll just refresh the page. One should have gone. Great. Now we do not see the one that we had deployed. Now we can go back to the subnet here, and if we refresh, one should go. Great. Now these are the default one. The one that we created has already been removed. And if we go to the EC2 instance dashboard, we should not see the EC2 instance now running. Let's wait for a quick second here. Still loading, and let's just refresh it. Great. Now you can see the instance state that shows terminated. So it has already been terminated, and it will be removed in few minutes. You won't be seeing that EC2 instance anymore existing in your AWS account, since this has already been terminated. So uh, that brings us to the end of Terraform tutorial. We covered how to set up an IAM user, write and apply Terraform code to deploy AWS resources. And the beauty is safely destroying them when no longer needed as well. Uh, I hope this session helped you understand the end-to-end workflow. If you found this useful, share it. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more cloud and automation tutorial. Thanks for watching.